Guys, this is Ochi Total coming back to you guys again with another video. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the history of black people in Argentina. So today, I just researched about the history of the Argentina people with black people and how they were wiped out, they were enslaved by them, and also the country was built by black people. The country that a lot of the Argentinians are living, they were built by black people. Now, you guys may say, oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Go research it yourself. Go type in Argentina history with black people, and it will show you many sources of how Argentina eliminated the black population and removed black history from Argentina. Black people were forced and migrated, forcibly migrated to Brazil, and their culture, African culture, was inspired by Brazil, and profoundly that it was in terms of music, dance, and food. So, for example, the tango that a lot of Argentina's people are doing came from the African influence. The first painting of the person doing the tango was a African descendant. So really, Argentina culture really was that it really came from African culture. Okay, now black people in Argentina was domestic servants. They were doing the exact same thing they did in America when they were forcibly out of Africa. Okay, so they were doing agriculture as well. They also were they were in the front lines in the Argentina military, because there were thousands of blacks in the front lines of the military that were fighting against the Purgange. That's what it was. It was a deadly war between those people, and the Purgange people came from South America. So these people were fighting against them, fighting for them, and many of these people died. Now they wanted to wipe the black population out. So I'm going to get to that part. So they wanted to, like, there were black women that were mixing with whites that was dwelling the black population, which is not going to really do much, because if a white person sleep with a black person, that child is mostly going to be mostly lighter skin or brown skin a little bit. But it says that they were dwelling the black population. Also, there was a president of Argentina named Domingo. His last name and middle name is Spanish. I can't pronounce it. So his name was Domingo, and he was president for 1868 to 1874. His plan was to wipe out the black population by creating a policy to force Africans to go to the military and to place them in a neighborhood where uh, diseases will wipe them out, to kill them off of the absence of health care. So he didn't want the Africans to be cured by that disease. So they denied access to black Africans from receiving health care to cure the disease they had to receive in the neighborhood that the president had placed them. Then after that, in Argentina, many people in Argentina don't mention black history in Argentina. They're hiding it from the Argentina citizens. So they don't want to teach that. There's hardly blacks there. The reason why they did that was to make the whole Latin America white, and 97% of the people in Argentina were white, mixed with Spaniards, that's what these white folks call them, and Italian immigrants. That's where in what is it? In Argentina. The other one was what is it? Let me show you guys. Let me just read this. They also yeah, I forgot one thing. They also says right here that many black slaves, some who were engaged in craft making for their masters, so they were craft making for their masters in Argentina. Um, Black people they were in houses. Um, there are people that even refuse to let me show you guys. Even Argentina history books are are partly responsible for misinformation regarding Africans in Argentina. So these people are showing misinformation. So they refuse to teach the children in Argentina about the Africans that built Argentina and were in the front lines in the Argentina military that were fighting against Progange in the Bruno's Aires in 1817. They forgot to mention that, and they forgot to mention that the elimination of blacks from the country histories and consciousness reflect the long cherished desire of successive Argentina governments to imagine the country as a all-white extension of the Western world in Latin America. That's what it says. And it also said in this article right here, I'm going to show you guys, that there is a signs about the participation of Afro-Argentinians in the history and the building of Argentina. A silence about the enslavement and poverty. Okay, this is what it says right here. And this is right here, the denial and disdain for the African community shows that racism of the elite that sees Africans as undeveloped and uncivilized. And that's what it shows on this website. So like I said before, Argentina wouldn't be where it's at today if it wasn't for black immigrants, actually black slaves. Because they are the ones who built Argentina. But these people refuse and deny and deny that Africans built this country, and they were the ones who fought in the front lines against the Progange, which Argentina was fighting against in that war that I just mentioned before. So what did I tell you right there? That Argentina is a racist country, that it only wanted an all-white country, and it was Spanish and white. They wanted to have a Spanish and a white country, even though it wasn't Europe and all that stuff. And many of the country that encouraged the government in Argentina to kill blacks were mostly from Europe and Eastern Europe. Okay, so those are the people that was encouraging that, and those countries were large scales of them wanting to encourage Argentina to exterminate the blacks and stuff like that. But now it also says that there are a few, like not all the blacks or there are a few blacks in Argentina, but all of them were wiped out. So really, like I'm trying to say is that this is the history of black people in Argentina. They were enslaved. They fought for the Argentinas. They were craft making for their masters. Some of them were some house slaves, with their masters and all that stuff. Many of Argentinas also have ancestries with Africans, and also the Brazilians that were the Brazil population. One half of the Brazil population is connected, had lineages with Africa. So their lineage came from Africa. Okay? I didn't know that until I researched that. So this is the history of Argentina, and I'm just looking this up right here. But they refuse to teach this in Argentina. They don't want to give black people the credit of building Argentina. They want to give the credit of black people fighting for them against the Bruni's Aries, against the Progange. They refuse to show that, to tell you that. They refuse to admit that their president was planning on killing, wiping out the black population by putting them in a diseased neighborhood and prevent them from receiving health care to remove the disease or cure them. They don't want to teach you that in Argentina. They want to hide this from these children. So I'm trying to tell you, as a person, just to research this for yourself. Just research it because it's not that hard. You know, but I'm gonna show you the site. So hold up. I think I can't do it. Okay, here. If you guys can see it, look at this. It will show you. This is the site I went to right here on my computer, and go to this site. Go on all these sites so you can go research it yourself, and so you don't be miseducated. Because I researched it because Phil from the Vive show, if you guys watch him, he talked about he says something about Argentina wiping out blacks, and he was right about that. So I researched it, like, oh, he was right. Like, I researched it, so I took his word for it. So this is the history of Argentina. Probably a lot of hate from people from Argentina because I have research about their history with black people. So anyways, tell me guys what you think about this video. This is Ochai Toto. Leave a like, subscribe, and tell me what you think about these videos. But anyways, peace.